In this lesson, I'm going to talk to you about creating your own data type. Now, that may sound a little strange. It would seem like we have the entire gamut covered between text strings, the numerical types like integer and long, the decimal types like single and double, the currency, the Boolean. We seem to have every possible scenario covered. When we're talking about creating your own data type, it's not creating a new individual one, but being able to create a new data type specific for an application or a task that you need to perform, or it'd be too difficult to use the standard ones. Let me give you an example so it becomes a little bit more clear. Say you're in charge of a bowling league. For those of you who may not be familiar with bowling leagues, what you've got are a series of teams. On each team are, say, 4 bowlers. Each week, each bowler bowls 3 games. Now, if you were tracking all this, you need an array of teams. You'd need an array of bowlers. You'd need an array of games. And somehow you'd have to keep straight which team the bowler is on and which games the bowler bowled. A lot of complication in dealing with the different indices and somehow making it all make sense and being able to retrieve the necessary information. But what if you could actually combine the information into the entity that you care about when you're looking at the information? That's the whole idea of creating your own data type, is putting together these simple data types that VBA provides, combining them for a purpose. So we'll actually create the data types for this bowling league so it makes sense to you. Now, the keyword we use to tell the computer we're creating a new data type is type. How appropriate. You want to give it a name that cannot be named the same as any other keyword or any other data type in VBA. And you want to call it something that makes a little bit of sense, kind of describing what it's holding, like the integer type. So let's create the type for a bowler in the league. All right? So we can call it bowler. Now, because the computer does not know how many items are in this new data type, to end the type, we have to use the end type statement. Everything between these 2 lines will hold the data that's contained in the data type. So what's the information we want to know about a bowler? Well, probably their name, and the name would be a string. Now notice we construct each of these items inside the data type, like a declaration, except we don't have the dim statement. That's the only thing that's missing. So we have their name. Then we want the 3 games that the bowler has bowled. So we make that an integer, an array of integers. Can't make it byte. Byte ends at 255, and you could have up to 300 as the score for a game. So we need to use an integer to make it work. So now we have a type bowler. Now here's what's neat. Now that we actually have the entire type, the end type statement, and information in between, it is now a data type known to the computer. You can actually declare with a dim statement a variable of type bowler. See, bowler is now available as a data type in this form. Now, I put it in the general section, so it's available to every event and procedure of this form, but only of this form. I'd have to put it in the general declaration section of the entire application, or make this a global type in order for it to be seen by everything. Okay, so we've now created the data type for a bowler and declared a variable of type bowler. But we're not done with our league. All right? The league consists of teams. The team has a bunch of bowlers. So we need another data type to have the team. Now, the important thing to understand here is we had to declare the bowler first. We could not create the type inside the team type. You have to completely complete the type from the type keyword and the name of the data type and the end type in order for the system to know it exists. So we have to create the bowler first in order to use the bowler in the team type. So most teams would have a name, and then they'd have a series of players on the team. Say we have 4-person teams. Now we can have the array be of type bowler. And then our league would be an array of, say, 16 teams. And notice team is also a known data type here. So that creates the data types that we can then declare variables from. Now, how would we set or read values from these? Well, very simple. Let's look at our league variable. Now we have to use declared variables. These simply create the definition for the data type. Just having the type structure here does not create a variable of that type. You still need to declare a variable of that type using a dim, like we did here. So let's look at our bowler. Say we're going to name our bowler. All right, so we have the name of the variable, which is bowler1. Then if we hit the dot, it gets us into the actual data items within the type. And notice they come up here. So I can set the person's name. Very simply. So that's how I would reference information inside that. For our league, it can get a little long, but it's still done. Say we want to look at the first team in the league and look at the second player on that team, and then that person's name we can set equal to a value. So it just gets deeper and deeper depending on the fact that you've got a variable which is a type, which is itself containing a type. But as long as you keep using this dot notation, you can keep going into the data types and get down to the actual item that you want.